Hi there, I'm Katy Rose, and welcome to The Rooted Reinvention, a podcast exploring the real-world journey of reinventing who we are without burning out or burning our whole life down. I teach people how to make lasting change by melding my Masters of Neuroscience and my Cognitive Therapy qualification with common self-help tools, spiritual concepts, and my personal experience. Because being yourself doesn't need to feel so damn hard. To get more information on podcast episodes, please visit rootedreinvention.com/podcast. If you're familiar with my work, be it written or spoken, you will know that I often talk about the concept of feeling broken. And the reason that I talk about this quite so much is because my entire journey as a soul searcher, as a lifelong learner, a bit of a nerd, as someone who's done multiple psychology degrees, trying to understand the human condition, all of that has been fueled by feeling broken. And in 2020, I read Glennon Doyle's book, Untamed, where she explained that broken means it does not function as it was designed to, and that we all seem to function the same way. And she talks about having unrealized dreams, deep regrets, living with rage. We're at war with our bodies and our minds and our souls and each other. And that really put a twist on 25 years of programming that maybe I'm not broken. And every time I've learned things about psychology, the human condition, there has been a clear reason, like there is a function to why we have fight or flight and we panic over a job application, why we respond in the way we do, how we are able to hold two completely opposing beliefs at once and follow the behavior of one when we know it's not the right thing. Like when I've looked at human behavior and human experience, there has always been a kind of reason behind why we or how we respond as we do. In this summary about being broken is that you will never change the fact that being human is hard, so you must change your idea that it was ever supposed to be easy. And thinking about that idea of feeling broken because we are told this it should be easy, this should be simple, you should be able to do this, should. All the shoulds and musts about how we should be and how we should feel and how we shouldn't do is what leads us to that feeling that we are broken. And then a couple of months ago, I read a post, which I will link in the show notes, by Terri Cole about codependency and over-functioning. And again, it got me thinking about that word, that functioning, and kind of the pressure that we put on ourselves. So I have had depression and anxiety since I was 11. I have been I'm going to use air quotes, high-functioning depressive throughout a lot of that time. Not fully, but a lot of it. And one of the reasons that I say that I was a high-functioning depressive is because I was told it by mental health professionals who said, quite frankly, you're coping way too well when I asked for help. And every time I've had a mental health crisis, I have found myself telling professionals that I feel I should be coping, or I can't think about that because then I will fall apart and then I won't be able to continue with my life as it is. But what I mean by that is I've got all this pressure that I put on myself and I can't let that go. And then when I don't manage to uphold the pressure I put on myself, I feel broken. And then I come back to that meaning of, actually, I'm functioning as I was designed to function. Human beings do not exist on a biological level to sit at a desk for 8 to 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, to eat processed foods, to barely exercise. When I think about the kind of primitive, primal version of humankind, we would have been out all day hunting, foraging, building things, climbing things, or learning the lay of the land, teaching others around us. We would then come back, we would eat, and we would then dance around the campfire, we would sing, we would tell stories, we would draw on the walls like cave paintings. There was so much that we just don't do in our current world, and so many things in our current world that we do now that our brain doesn't know how to respond to. When I feel anger, I remind myself that this is a messenger, this is a sign that something in my life feels unfair, and this is my little warning to go, hey, you might want to do something about this. And yet in the modern world, we are basically told to suppress, to ignore, to silence, not to show anger, that it's wrong. And this piece that Terri writes about with codependency and overfunctioning, she talks about how overfunctioning can leave you burnt out and exhausted from trying to maintain an impossible workload. And that's what I have done every time I have fallen into mental health crisis, every time that I have reached a high peak of struggle. It has been because I have been working full time, I've been trying to look after the house, there's been some other stuff, some other caring responsibilities, sick relative, whatever it might have been at the time, moving house, there's been other things going on. But when I list them out on paper, people told me, no wonder you're struggling, no one would be coping and functioning as normal with all of this going on. And it has taken me years of hearing that message to even consider they might be right. We're all human, we all have our stuff. This is something that I have been relearning yet again in the last couple of months. And I'm trying to give myself grace and to remember that this is part of the process, this is part of being human, and that's okay. But thinking a little bit about what pressure am I putting on myself and what is the cost to me? If I am doing all of these things, not only do other people expect me to continue doing all of these things, I have always been a caretaker, I have always volunteered myself for stuff. My annual review at my day job, my goal for this year is to stop volunteering for new projects because I am the first person to say, I can do that, I'll help with that, I'll get involved with that, because I am interested and passionate and want to help. However, I also need to stop putting so much on myself and stop accepting responsibility that I'm not able to manage right now because no one would be able to function at a normal level with all the different things going on. I mean, we're in a global pandemic, for goodness sake. I mean, that by itself has, I think, brought this idea of functioning more to the forefront. But just having that little reminder, that little question, that little voice in the back of my head going, you have always been high functioning, you have always felt that you should function at a higher level. You have quite often not functioned at that level because most people can't. And then you have felt broken, felt guilty, and it has set you into a spiral. And being able to step back this time and go, I can see the pattern here, I can see what I've done, I can see what beliefs have come through, and I can choose what I do moving forward. Because we do all function the same way. We all have drive, we all have the need to be soothed, we all have times of rest and times of activity, we all have thoughts, feelings, physical sensations, and behaviours. We all have the same ability to manage the experiences we have. And when I look at where things have gone wrong for me, where things have become harder, where I've been suffering more than I needed to, it's because I have this idea of what I should be doing. I've been putting pressure on myself to reach that state without even questioning if it's real, if it's true. Is that true? Am I broken? No, I'm human. The reason that I feel emotions and that I get tearful and that I get frustrated and that I feel this feeling and think these thoughts is because I'm like every other human who does the same. So this week's question is simply to ask yourself, where are you putting pressure on yourself? And is that pressure because you're believing something to be true that you may not have ever questioned before? If, like me, you have that, oh my gosh, what if I'm broken kind of thought, I'd like you to know you're not broken. And if you do realise that you're putting pressure on that perhaps isn't helpful for you, irrespective of why you've done it and how long you've done it for and what it results in, if it's not helping you, this is your reminder to question that, just to pause, just consider, if this isn't helpful, what would be helpful? What could I replace this particular thought or belief with for now as a trial, and see if it makes my life that little bit less stressful? We need to break the narrative that we should be a certain way, and that if we're finding life hard, then we're doing something wrong, or we're broken, or we're not good enough, that it should be easy, that it should be simple, that it should flow 24/7. We need to break this narrative, and therefore I'm inviting you that if you are putting a particular pressure on yourself, or you have felt this pressure from others, feel free to leave it in the comments, and we can all see the truth for what it really is, and that we are all human, and that there's nothing wrong with that. As always, thank you so much for listening. We all are so much more capable than we ever will realise. I hope you are safe and well, and I will speak to you again next week. Bye! Thanks for listening, and as always, you can find out more at rootedreinvention.com. Take care, remember you are more capable than you often realise, and I'll see you next time. Bye!